Hello everyone! In a previous video I talked about 10 things that I love about Pioneers of Olive Town, but today I want to say 10 things that I would change about Pioneers of Olive Town. The first change that I would make, as some of you already know, is I would have a wider variety of body types and just personalities in general of the bachelors and bachelorettes. I think all of the bachelors and bachelorettes, they're all kind of samey looking. Like, maybe their hair color is different, but they're all pretty much the same body shape. So I would mix that up, and I'd also go back and give them a little bit more backstory. The second change that I would make is I would revamp the taming mechanic and also the breeding system. I don't really like how the game kind of forces one of each animal on you. I'm somebody who I like to play multiple times, and I like to be able to mix it up, but because the game kind of throws one of each animal at you, I end up having, each animal in each playthrough. So I don't really like that. And I don't really like the breeding system either. The game has a quality system, 0 to 10. And if you want the highest quality eggs and milk, then you're going to have to breed again and again and again. And I never even bother with it. So, I wish that was a better system. I think if it were me, I would just have it be that maybe if you keep it at 10 hearts for, a whole season, then the quality that it makes, it will improve by 1. Number 3 is I would not have all of these different areas be separate maps. I'm somebody who, one of my pet peeves is I don't like load screens while I'm playing the game. If there's a long setup time, I'm fine with that. But I don't like it when I'm trying to do all this stuff on the farm and then I have to wait and wait. So I hate how they made the special extra farm areas all their own separate areas. If it was me, there would be a central hub, and then the 4 different seasons, they'd all be locked behind a different fence, and then you'd be able to unlock them slowly. But the way that it is, where you have to jump between each different area and there's a load time between each area, I'm not a fan of that. And in the same way, the DLC areas, they would all also have a hub area in the middle, and then you could just go to all 3 areas in one map. Number 4 is that I would improve the dialogue and just the writing in general. This game, probably more than any other farming game that I've ever played, I usually just skip through most of the dialogue because there's so much of it and it's so uninteresting. Every time there's a festival, they'll talk about it in the days leading up to it and the day after the festival, and they must have put a lot of work into that. But I think, they got lazy with it, and so they all just basically say the same things with just slight variations. They should have just thrown that out and just made it that each character has more interesting things to say. Number 5 is something that I also plan to talk about in a future video, and that is the married life. In Olive Town, after you get married, it's pretty lame, honestly. There are cutscenes, and those are good. But I wish it was a little bit deeper than just cutscenes. If I was changing the things in Olive Town, what I would do is I would have each morning you could talk to your spouse, and then they would ask you honey, do you need help on the farm today? And then you could give them a task. Take care of the animals, or harvest all the crops and put them in the bin, or please water all of the plants. And then your spouse would go and do those things for the day. If they can have sprites go and harvest your crops, why can't they have our spouse help us out on the farm? Number 6 is I really don't like the town setup. This has to be the most boring, plain town setup I have ever seen in maybe any game ever. It's just all of the shops, they're all in a little line. And then there's nothing, there's nothing really secretive in the town to figure out. Nope. Everything is just there, and it's really plain and boring. So if I was making this game, I would make there to be more areas, a forest area and a, maybe a path that goes along the beach. I guess they kind of have these things, but, they're really small. Number 7 is going right off of that point 6, which is I would have harvestable things outside of the farm, and I would put them in those areas that I just talked about. So when you go into the forest area, there should be like some mushrooms and some stuff that you can only find in the forest. And then as you're walking along the beach, there should also be like seashells and stuff like that. I don't know why in Olive Town you can only get harvestable things on the farm. I don't know why they don't have forageables outside. Like none of the DLC areas, nowhere in the town, there's nothing. You can only harvest and find forageables on your farm. I would change that. Number 8 is I would have weekly events happen. And what I mean by that is like maybe there is a special NPC who comes to the town once a week and they set up a shop and then you can buy secret items there. I just think when you're playing Olive Town, it's like there's not enough things that change throughout the season. If you play a game like Stardew Valley, it's like there's not going to be a long period of time where everything is the same because there'll be certain forageables that are only available at certain times. There'll be events that last more than one day. But in Olive Town, you basically just get a couple festivals a month and then that's it. I feel like there needs to be something to go in between the festivals. Number 9 is the daily quests. I like that there are daily quests, but I'm not the biggest fan of how it was implemented. You have to leave your farm and then you have to run to the town hall, which is on the complete other side of the town. Then you have to read on the bulletin, okay, this person needs this. And then you might have to run back to your farm, get the item, and then go back. And actually at the end of the day, it's kind of like anticlimactic. So if it were me, I would make a few changes to this system. Number 1 is that I'd have slightly better rewards. As it is now, you just get gold and the person likes you a little bit more, and there's never anything else. But for me, if I was doing it, number 1, I would have various rewards that it would give you, not just gold every single time. I think it would be better if they made you find the person in the town and give it to them directly, and then they thank you directly. Maybe they didn't do that because they don't want you running around the town looking for the person, but the way it is, it's just too impersonal. Like the person doesn't thank you face to face, and there's no face to face interaction at all. So yeah, I would revamp this quest system. And the last thing that I would do to spice up Olive Town, and I actually stole this idea from one of my commenters, so thank you to whoever commented that. I would let you play matchmaker with the other bachelors and bachelorettes in the town. I think that was a really good idea that somebody had, and I personally would love that. Even if, all of the marriage candidates, they just had, generic heart scenes, Like, maybe they'll say the same thing no matter who they're going on a date with. But then, those two could get married, and they could have a child, and then there could be events with your child and their child. And I also would have it that, there would also be another farmer in the town, and then maybe the other farmer, they could just live in the inn, and then, that way everybody could have a pair, and you could do, whoever you want, regardless of gender, and, you as the player would have full control over, who gets together. So those are the 10 things that I would change about Olive Town. Please let me know in the comments below what you would change about Olive Town, and I'll see you guys next time.